Hey there, I'm Noelle Randall, and I'm here with my bestie / the director of operations, Mimi Welch. And in today's episode, we're gonna talk about all of the secrets of crowdfunding. We have learned so much in the past 2.5 years of crowdfunding real estate, and today we're gonna share with you all the secrets, the good, the bad, the ugly, and everything in between. Let's go.
Noelle. Yeah, she can fix that. If you gotta get it done, no, you need to do it better. Well, she can fix that. Yeah, she can fix that. Investment to get back, trying to get a big stack. She can fix that. Let's fix that.
So this is absolutely amazing. I'm doing something that everyone has asked me to do, answering the real questions that people have about real estate crowdfunding and giving you the true secrets. So we have taken the most frequently asked questions about real estate crowdfunding, and we are answering them today. I'm here with Mimi Welch, my director of operations with 𝗏𝗏 Incorporated, and we're gonna just get right into it. Let's go.
Okay, so I'm gonna start off with asking Noelle some questions, and we're gonna start with the before, because there are some things you have to know before. My first question is, how did you get this idea?
So it's so funny because I tell people that real estate crowdfunding did not exist when I was losing everything. When I was going broke in 2009 and back in my parents' basements, I would have loved to be able to ask people for money for real estate because I had flips that I got foreclosed on. I had all of this stuff going on. And literally, if crowdfunding had existed then, I would have been in a much different situation. But I learned about crowdfunding from my multi-million-dollar Shark Tank mentor who told me that, you know, basically there was an act that came along in 2012. Many of you guys may know the Jobs Act of 2012, which allowed people to solicit and ask for investments from people that you didn't know. So when I first got into real estate, you could only invest with people that you knew. You had to have a personal relationship with them. You had to already have known them. So it sounds like a great thing, but at the same time, imagine if you're a person that's wanting to be socially mobile and economically mobile and climb up the ladder. You may not be in a circle of people investing, so how would you ever learn about this?
You wouldn't.
Yeah.
Like, it would be very hard.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's good to know. I really want to know a little bit more history because you tapped onto the Jobs Act.
Yes.
Like, more about that.
Yeah. So again, 2012, Barack Obama was the president. It stands for Jumpstart Our Business Startups Act of 2012. And again, it really just opened up where any startup, including real estate investors, could solicit money for investments for their business. So in other words, normal unaccredited investors, people that do not make $1 million a year or, you know, all of these crazy have $500,000 in assets and all of that other stuff, a normal person could invest in a startup. So it opened up two things for both parties. One, if you were a business owner, a startup, and you needed money, you never had the opportunity to ask strangers to help you. Well, the Jobs Act of 2012 changed that. Additionally, if you were someone that had some money and you wanted to invest, you didn't have this as an opportunity because you could only invest in people that you knew. But this act changed everything.
Yes.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
Now, this is some good stuff.
Yeah.
Another thing that, you know, everyone don't know the difference between accredited and non-accredited investors.
Right.
Tell us more about the difference.
Yes. So like I said, before the Jobs Act of 2012, you had to be an accredited investor, meaning you made at least $250,000 per year or you had $1 million in assets. So if you did not meet that criteria, you were not an accredited investor. And if I had an investment or a business that I wanted to invest in, I could not ask you if you made less than $250,000 a year. So that's a big deal. Unaccredited investor means anyone that makes less than $1 million per year, has less than $1 million in assets, or makes less than $250,000 per year.
More the middle class,
yes,
or anyone working class.
Exactly.
It makes it available for them.
It really does.
I love that.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's start with getting started.
Yeah.
If you had to say like your first thing to do.
So the first thing that I did with this, like I said, it was my millionaire mentor that told me about it. He said, okay, so what are some ideas that you have for real estate? Why would anybody want to invest in your real estate crowdfund? And so I told him what I was doing with the Airbnbs and how they were much more profitable than my other rental properties. You know, I was having properties that I would rent out vacant, unfurnished, and I would make about $300 per month per property. But when I got into the Airbnb business, when I, started furnishing them, putting the towels and the forks and the knives and all of those properties together and started renting them out on a nightly basis, I was making about $1,500 per month on properties that I was only making $300 a month on previously. That's a big difference.
Okay, you get it?
Yeah.
$300 a month, $1,500 a month.
Big difference.
That's a big difference.
Yes, and that's something people would invest in. Would you
Yes.
invest in something like that? So it has to be an idea that's going to make money, and you can tell them, okay, this is how I'm going to make money, so that investors feel comfortable, like, yeah, I'm going to put in on that.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So that was step one, was writing out what the plan was for the business, how we were going to make money. That was it. So that's step one.
Step one, guys. Okay, so let's go to step two.
Yeah.
Step two, you have this idea. You know you want to do it in real estate because we're focusing on real estate.
Yes.
So step two, you got to go somewhere. You got to get some paperwork together.
Yeah.
What is that step?
So here's the thing. I knew absolutely nothing about crowdfunding, okay? And mind you, this is 2019, and this is the first time I've ever even heard of this, okay? And just to fast forward to all of that I've learned and how much we've done with crowdfunding, it's amazing. But in 2019, I got all of the information and all of my contacts from my mentor. So you're gonna need an attorney. Really simply put, the True Crowd, which is the company that I went to handle the crowdfund, where basically if I say invest in my crowdfund, you would go to truecrowd.com and you would find me there. But True Crowd, that company, and again, Start Engine, Kickstarter, all of your crowdfunding platforms, they have attorneys. So they literally gave me an attorney to talk to that helped me write my pitch deck. Okay, he did not write the pitch deck. I found a guy to put a pitch deck together. Super easy. Again, not anything difficult. The attorney looked it over, make sure it fits, and then I got an accountant. You're gonna need an accountant, a CPA, just to look over your financials. But here's the fun part. Super easy, super simple, because again, this is a startup. I made a brand new corporation. I made a C Corp. I went to the Secretary of State. I get the C Corp. That's really it. Pay $300, make a pitch deck, get an attorney to look over it, get an accountant to make my financials, and again, super easy.
Definitely. Okay, so for a startup business, this is really good information because most businesses that are new, they need the funding.
Yeah.
So this is very
And
important.
this is not just for real estate. Remember, this is for startups. The whole entire Jobs Act. You see how they say jumpstart our startups, our business and startups. So this is totally for startups.
Yes, small businesses.
Yeah.
This is for you too.
Yeah.
We've done step one. We've done step two. We have an attorney. So what will be step three? Like, what will be your top thing to say, okay, now it's time for you to focus on this?
Okay, so the next thing that you do, once you kind of have it all put together, you have it set up, now you're gonna get ready to launch this thing. And it doesn't really take much to launch it. Like I said, the setup process, I think I got this whole thing set up in like 2 or 3 weeks. The longest thing was getting the actual business registration from the Secretary of State of Florida. You know what I mean? That was like the longest process. They had a delay. But the attorney looking over the pitch deck, somebody got me a pitch deck in like 2 or 3 days. And again, I think it cost me like $300 to have someone else do a pitch deck, which is just a PowerPoint. So you could totally do it yourself. And we can give you some great templates on that. But once you do those things, you are ready to launch. You are ready to start telling the world and getting money. So that is the fun part. Like, you put it together, and then now the hardest part though is, okay, how do I get people to give me money?
Okay, we're gonna hold that question.
Yeah.
My question before, how do we get them to give you money? How much are we gonna have to invest and pay for this?
Good point. And again, this is something that you get to decide. So at the time in 2019, when I did the crowdfund, the law, it stands for Regulation CF. You know what I mean? That is the actual regulations through the Securities and Exchange Commission. And at the time, the most that you could raise through a crowdfund was $1,070,000. Now it is $5 million. Okay? So at the time I did mine, the minimum investment was $500, and we were going to raise $1 million to buy this real estate. Today, like I said, you can set whatever minimum. You can do a $100 minimum. You can do a $5,000 minimum. You get to set the minimum of what your minimum investment is for your crowdfund. That's step one. Two, the next thing is, you as the person that's creating the crowdfund, you get to decide how much money you're raising. You don't have to raise the maximum. Like I said, it's $5 million, but if you only need $250,000 or $100,000, that's your choice. You can literally make the crowdfund to raise as much or as little money as you need for what you're doing.
Yep, little as much. Okay, so back to your question before that. How do you get people to give you money?
So this is the fun part because again, I had no idea how I was gonna get people to actually give me $1 million.
Yes.
I really did not. And so this was really simple, and again, came from my Shark Tank mentor. He said, do webinars.
Ah.
Yeah, that simple. Do you know what a webinar is?
I do.
Okay, tell me about a webinar.
What I know about a webinar
Yes.
is that you can just go online. You could do it from your house.
Correct.
Just get on your computer.
Correct.
And you can learn something.
Correct. It's just a video where you're teaching people
Just a
something.
video.
And so what we did was we created a webinar that we would run every single week, and we would invite people to that explained what the opportunity was, how great real estate was. I told my story about the single family residences and the unfurnished rentals, and then how I got into Airbnb. And I made some estimates of how much money I thought I would make per property, and then how we would split the money with them, et cetera, et cetera. And it really is just like an infomercial where you're just explaining, hey, this is what I'm doing. People can come. They don't have to comment. People loved coming to those webinars because it was anonymous. You sign up, you come to my webinar, and you could just listen. And then at the end of it, if you want to invest, you go to the website. And if you were like, I'm not interested in what she's talking about, you click off, and that's the end of it. We got so many investors from just a webinar that we did one time per week.
Very smart.
Yeah.
How long did you have to run your fundraiser?
So here's a fun thing. So like I said, we started in 2019, and we actually got the paperwork in 2019, but we didn't officially launch the company until February of 2020. We have some footage that I can show you guys of our launch party that we did at Kevin Harrington's studio, Shark Tank, big audience, big party. And then March of 2020, the pandemic hits.
Oh.
And that was a mess because I'm like telling them all these vacation rentals and how much money we're gonna make, and now the whole country is shut down. So during the pandemic, we just raised money. People were in the house. I just kept running those webinars and raising money, and then when the country opened back up, that's when we started buying properties again. It really was not that big of a deal. We just ran that webinar, which again was a Zoom call.
Okay, that's a good one.
Yeah.
Keep going.
Keep going. Just keep raising money. People will, give you money for what you're doing. And again, it can sit in the account. You don't have to spend it just because you received it. You're raising the money for your business.
Okay, so recapping, we already know what to do in the beginning. We know how to get the attorney. We know the places to go. And we're at a point where we're about to launch this thing.
Yeah.
So
now that we've launched it, it's gone live. I'm doing the webinars. I'm getting in money.
what do you do now?
Yeah, so here's the fun part. And I think this is where I pulled you in, and I'll probably start asking you some questions because I was lost. Once we started raising money, it goes to, people are going to this TrueCrowd website. So again, TrueCrowd, Start Engine, all of these crowdfunding websites. They're going to that website. They're putting in like, okay, I'm going to invest $500. And they give that $500 in, but it wasn't coming to me. Exactly. And that was the part I didn't understand. And this is probably where I'll start asking you some questions and you can answer for people. So once they have the money and they've given the money on, the TrueCrowd website, then where does the money go?
Yes. Now we get to switch.
Yes.
First of all, you have to invest on a platform, like we said, truecrowd.com. And going through that platform, you sign up. The money goes into an escrow account.
Yeah.
That's where it goes. It does not go to the business. During your crowdfund, it has to stay there for a certain amount of time. You have to just, abide by the SEC.
Yeah.
That's what this is governed by. The thing is, though, we're at the point now where you have to make sure you have your team. And that is, like you said, where you brought me in.
Yes.
You have to have your customer support team.
Yes.
Because people are going to be calling.
Yes.
And you're going to have those questions. You have to have your email set up. And it's easy to do that. It's just an email, get people online. And then you also have to be able to make sure you have a good team that know how to respond to what the questions. And some of those questions are so simple.
Yeah.
They just want to know where to go, what to do,
So this is the part that got fun. So once we launched it and we're getting money in, as you know, that's when I had to bring you in. You're the director of operations. This was all new to me and you. So what was the first thing that we started happening or that we needed to do to take all of these new investors?
New investors start calling. So you have to already prepare yourself. You need to get a good team. You need a customer support team that's going to be able not only to take the calls, but they also can answer your email. So it's all about communication with your investors. So that's where you want to start, getting a good team.
Yeah.
They're going to have a lot of questions. You they sign up on truecrowd.com. That is where they sign up, and that is the platform where they're going to do their background checks. And the thing is, once again, going back to our communications team, they have to explain that to them. Like, why haven't I received something yet to say I have an investment? Well, that investment has to sit somewhere. So they'll be doing that check, and the check is called a KYC AML. All that does is just check their background and check their and verify them. And it could be, you can invest in your business name, you can invest in your name, but you have to know these things. So that's why communication is important.
Yeah.
Get a team, train the team, and then you'll be good.
Wow, that was some great information. I am so excited to keep sharing. Stay tuned for the next video. Wow, that was an amazing episode. I hope you really enjoyed it. I have a perfect gift just for you, and it's absolutely free. I have a cheat sheet to crowdfunding with all of our secrets all laid out. Just go to noellsfreegift.com and download your copy today. That's Noelle, Noelle with an S, noellsfreegift.com. I just want to make sure that you have all of the resources, all of the tools, and all of the knowledge that you need to be successful. This is Noelle. To your success.